Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, that podcast that opens up the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media. Welcome. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda and I am a professional psychic medium here in Australia. Today's episode is going to be removing some woo. Some serious woo that needs removing. There is a lot of talk on social media about the 5D and the new earth. This is new. When I say new, it is probably dated back no more than 30 years. When we talk about the afterlife and spirituality, it is based on love and pure love. And I started this podcast and my journey on social media to really educate people about the falsehoods and the fear-based social media, the rhetoric that people spout because it is trendy, shall we say. A lot of the 5D and the new earth comes from Dolores Cannon. Now, I have never been a fan of Dolores Cannon's work because a lot of her work is disempowering people, not empowering people. As a psychic medium, my job is to empower people in this life and to give them faith, proof, evidence of the continuation of consciousness in the afterlife. We are simply humans at this point in time. We are spirits living our human existence at this point in time. I have a great deal of sadness around the talk of the 5D and the new earth because it really takes away people's power. And it is, when you dive deep into it, it is the least spiritual thing or least spiritual fear-based threat that anyone could put out there. I get asked so many times that, what about the 5D? When is that coming? Well, the date changed every day for the last, I don't know how many years. It's the 21st of January. It's the 9th of September. It's coming on Thursday. The new earth is not happening. This is our reality. The aliens are not coming to save us, and that is a reality. But I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that during this episode. First of all, I'm going to talk about my Patreon and thank all of my new Patreon supporters for their wonderful support this year. I have always been blown away by people joining to hear my information. We've got a lovely community going on over there. Even the bottom tier, the $5 a month, gets you into my coffee morning once a month, the chats that I pop into randomly, the extra information that I load every now and again. I'm trying to move more onto the free stuff as well, which will be just like the videos that I've been putting on TikTok. Obviously, a lot of people are going to miss out on that. If the TikTok ban comes into place, I'm going to say I don't see it happening. And if it does go dark, it will only go dark for a very, very small amount of time. But I am going to start doing some free stuff over there. But the extra stuff, extra podcasts, deep dives, a lot of spiritual content going up over the next couple of weeks. Plus, you get early access to all of my booking, events. All of that, you get early access and some nice juicy discounts. But going to give my Patreon members a shout out, those that have joined in the last week, and then we'll get on with this week's episode. So thank you, Jessica, Kylie, Jennifer, Jess, Nicole, Christina, Wage, Maxine, Jessica Pratt, Elaine Bastido, Simi, Ravenhurst, Jessica, Nina, Shauna, Joni, who has joined for 12 months, and Shauna joined for 12 months, Kate, who joined for 12 months, Malia, Sarah, Stephanie Graham, Cassie, Myra, Latent Dream, Kaylin, Samantha, Beatrice, Alyssa, Alexandra, Sherry, Aretha, Brittany, Ashley Sabin, Mayra, Nicole, DP, Tammy, Michelle Diemling, Melissa, Angelo, Haley, Jennifer, Catherine, Nola Mel, Valentina, Tabitha, Cora, Sarah, Jasmine, Maya, Kelly, Audrey, Natalie, Monique, Debbie, Jenny, Heather, Amber, who's joined for 12 months, Nevin, Amy, Ebony, W. St. Clair, who has joined for 12 months, Nicole, Natalie, Casey Sue, Abby, Archella, and Jackie. Thank you guys. You guys rock. Having you as part of our community is just wonderful. And remember that this podcast is supported by my Patreon members so that you don't get stuck with ads in between. Stay with me. We are going to be talking about 5D and the new Earth and why that is not a reality. It is fiction and it has no bearing on the afterlife. And we are going to be talking about some current affairs that are going on at the moment. There is so much in the news, giving you a little bit more information about that, as well as my extra predictions that I give you on a regular basis. So let's talk about what seems to be a very trendy topic at the moment. Let's start by saying the afterlife has existed for as long as we have existed. There's no mystery to it. When we leave our human existence, we transition into the afterlife. Our spirit continues. It is, if you like, the continuation of our consciousness. We continue our journey through different incarnations for as long as we choose. There isn't a particular pecking order in the afterlife, other than some people are spirit guides and some spirits aren't. This has been proven time and time again. It is basic. Spirituality is as is. There's no mystery. There's no fear. Once we transition into the afterlife, once we leave our human existence, we get to review our life and we get to see how we've lived our life through a different perspective, through a different lens, if you like. We know that we've caused pain to people, and we know what part of that our ego has been a part of. Growing and learning and evolving is part of our spiritual growth during our human existence. We learn lessons. We learn what's good for us and what's bad for us. We learn the things that we do that are bad that make us grow. We learn as we live. But we get true reflection of that when we have transitioned to the afterlife. When I watch on social media people talking about the 5D and it being a bit of a club, and that we basically are going to be welcomed into the new earth when we have evolved and we have let our ego part of our world go. Yes, living outside of ego is good for us. It is a learning point. It is a time that we really evolve as human beings. But this threat of a new earth that has only been around for about 30 years or so, that this new earth is the answer for everything. And I'm sorry, but if you haven't done the work, you're not welcome. How spiritual is that? How spiritual to exclude people that are actively living their life and learning. When you get asked, where are you on your ascension journey, stop and think about that. Because your journey has no beginning and no end. It just is. I get asked, how do I ascend? Where is the 5D? These are questions that baffle me. There is a taste, a touch of rapture theory behind all of this. That you must ascend to be part of our new earth, and you are not worthy if you do not. Every soul is worthy of transitioning to the afterlife. Every soul. The feeling of around this that gives me the big ick is its connection to organized religion. Now, I believe that there is something bigger than us. What I do not believe in is putting fear in people's minds. Organized religion does not teach morality. It teaches control. And this new earth 5D smacks of the same thing. It should never be fear-based. I would surprise you at how many religious people who have been devout their whole life are so fearful of dying because they are fearful of what is beyond, because of that heaven and hell, and you are being judged. You will face your judgment day. Doesn't the 5D and New Earth have the same connotations? Or is that just me? Are we putting fear in people's minds to control them to behave how we expect them to behave? If you have to live your life in fear because of a heaven and a hell, rather than doing the right thing, then you are the problem. The New Age really does, it is such a new thing. And I want people to understand that whatever you believe, whatever fear you are holding on to, the afterlife is there. Your loved ones are there. Those that have gone before you are in spirit and your loved ones are around you. It is a continuation of consciousness. And I prove that day after day with the mediumship readings that I do. People saying that the 5D is somewhere you ascend to. The 5D doesn't exist. The afterlife does. The 5D and the New Earth have smacks of Battlestar Galactica, and they talk about the UFOs coming to save us. No one's coming to save us. We are it. I'm not saying that UFOs don't exist. We would be absolutely ridiculous to think that UFOs don't exist. I have not had it confirmed by spirit. But what I am going to say is that this is our earth. This is our life. And we are to be the saviors of it. No one else. Your journey into evolvement and spiritual growth is not to be rushed. It is to be done at your timeline. Do not fear being left behind because you are rushing something that is so important. We all go through a spiritual growth, some sooner than later, but at no point is it connected to the new earth, which the date keeps shifting for that. Sometimes it's January the 10th and then it's October and then, oh, it must be happening next year. And can't you feel it? Can't you see it? We are all connected through energy. I particularly take offense to con artists pretending to be psychic mediums and spouting the 5D and selling ascension packages. Sign up to this and pay me this amount every month to make sure that you are not left behind. How spiritual is that? Give me your money and I'll make sure that you're not left behind in the old earth. Do not seek fulfillment where it cannot be found. The fulfillment is in your own journey. Once we experience life and discover that there is so much that doesn't feel right, we finally get to the place in life that feels good for us. When you stop following what you think you're supposed to do, that is when your growth starts. The 5D is fear-mongering and rapture culture, which is a mix of religion and cult-like behaviour. It is very new. It is less than 30 years old. Please be careful when you're out there, when you're believing and trusting these people selling you a fallacy. Spirituality is basic. We are all connected through energy, and you do not need fear to make you fearful of missing out. You will all go to the afterlife. That is the only spirituality you really need to understand. So it's always really important to be very vigilant on how you view spirituality. It's not difficult. People overcomplicate it by putting fear. There should be no such thing as fear-based spirituality. People got driven away in droves from religion because of the fear-based religion. Now, as I've said, I think religion is a good thing. Extremism, not so much. But I think belonging, understanding, and faith, whatever faith that is you believe, is yours and yours alone. The only reason I want to educate you on things like the 5D is that the reality of it, it's fiction, and it is based on fiction. Nobody has been able to prove that any of what is spouted is true. Yet the evidence of the afterlife and the evidence of what comes after and the continuation of consciousness is continually proved. When I first came on social media, and this was before I was even posting, a lot of people are asking me about the TikTok ban, and I'm going to go into what I've been given about that. And it's really no different to what I was given last year when it first came up. But when I first came onto social media, and I wasn't posting and I was just scrolling, and obviously I have an interest in spirituality. So some of the content and my algorithm pushed me towards that. I was shocked at the little amount that people expected. I watched a live once, and it was a woman saying that she was live with somebody, and she said, I've got your grandmother here, and she loves you. There was no evidence during that reading. And then I watched in disgust as another so-called medium, claiming to be a medium, said that they had or were talking to a young boy that was missing. And the stuff coming out of her mouth, there is no way ethically that we would ever say, even if we were shown that we would say it out loud, especially to someone's parents. Gosh, they've lost their 13-year-old boy. He's missing somewhere. And this medium's talking about how he was beaten and treated and essayed for the world to see on social media, addressing his parents. How awful. Our job as psychic mediums is always to leave people better than we found them. The reality is that there are very, very few that do that. It's a privilege to do what I do. It's an absolute privilege to be able to connect people with family members that have transitioned to the other side. The privilege that somebody who has gone through untold grief, the loss of a child, a mother, a husband, a wife, and they choose me, they trust me to be that person that can show them that their loved one is around them. That's why the evidence is so important. If your loved one repeats to me a sentence, a conversation that you have just had, if they have told me something that you had discussed before they passed, or an inside joke if they disclose to me the nickname they called you when you were younger, something they laughed at, something obscure that only they or you would know. It's such a privilege. How dare people take advantage of that? It makes me so sad. Please educate yourself on what you deserve. There is a difference between a medium and a psychic, and not many people actually understand that. A medium's job is to prove to you that your loved one is around you with the evidence that they bring you. A psychic is someone that talks about you, goes through your guides, talks to your higher self. Obviously, my mediumship readings include some psychic readings, but the difference a lot of people don't understand, and the reality is, if somebody is calling themselves a medium and cannot produce that evidence of connection, then turn away and find someone that does. I know I am not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm well aware of that. But there are many good psychic mediums out there that can work for you. There's Jonathan Louis, there's Megan Alyssa, there's Pam Sears, there's Tracy St. Croix. I always get her surname wrong. Look at these people, watch their work, and see the difference between the 2-bit mediums that sell their wares on social media. The true believers, the true understanding, the true people of service wouldn't be spouting the 5D and the new earth. They will take advantage of you, and please be aware of that. So what's happening in the news? Oh, it's a quiet week, isn't it? No, it is not a quiet week. We have Elon Musk having charges put against him. That was on our bingo card Patreons. That bingo card that many of you that I produced earlier this month, and there's a few of those already that we've marked off. I wonder who's going to get bingo first. So that one's another one for our bingo card Patreons. If you don't know and you're not a member of my Patreon, I did release my 2025 predictions that are up for sale in my TikTok shop, not my TikTok shop, Genie Mac, my Patreon shop. And I kept it very cheap. I kept it very reasonable. And if you have purchased them, when I do an update mid-year, you will get them for free. But I also did a bingo card for the whole of those in paid Patreon, and it's got a whole bingo card full of predictions, and already I think we've seen 2 or 3 of them happen. So that's interesting. We'll have to see what happens with the rest of them. So that's happened. We've got the TikTok ban up on deck. My prediction hasn't changed from what I saw last year. I said that I saw if it was going down, it would not be for long. I think that there is an extension coming in. I'm not being shown it disappearing. If it does disappear, then it will be back up within a matter of weeks. I am available on my Patreon. I am available here. I am available on YouTube, which I will try and put some more stuff up. I am only on the gram. I don't do Facebook. I'm not even a fan of the gram, but it has kept me in touch with people that don't have TikTok. I will not be going over to Red, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I have been warned about it by insiders. I am a medium and a in all intents and purposes, a witch, and they are illegal in China. And I do not intend to have a platform that goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's what I see at the moment. The Californian fires are going to kick off again. I think it's going to be hit and miss for about another month. It is going to be down to embers traveling. I am not seeing any more arson attacks. I do think that the initial fire started on accident and the rest were arson or from sparks being thrown. What I said last week about someone being arrested has already happened. Do I know what's happening on the 20th? No. I have spoken about this endlessly. I am still not being shown him sworn in. It's going to be a wait and see moment, and I can't promise you anything other than if he does get sworn in, he will not be there for long. There is a lot of civil unrest in the United States, the United Kingdom, Syria. Oh, I just said Syria, and Siri wanted to know what I wanted. Syria, and I feel like something's kicking off in Germany as we go through the next 2 weeks. Do not be surprised if you see excessive police, uniformed army on the streets in the US over the next 10 days, if not longer. There's a lot of shock announcements coming out in that area. I don't think it's all to do with Trump, I'll be honest with you. It feels very uncomfortable. I am still seeing an attempt of an attack on Mar-a-Lago. Whether that's a direct attempt on Trump, I am not sure. United Kingdom, it feels like there is some repercussions from decisions that the current government have made that are going to get known in the next week, and it is going to cause an uproar in the United Kingdom. It is not pleasant. I also want to talk weather-wise. Very, very high winds globally. It's not just in one place. Australia, strangely enough, I feel snow and ice and hailstorms coming in. We're in the middle of summer. It's been hot and humid, so I don't know why I'm being shown that. They give me some weird stuff sometimes. But on the West Coast, I feel extreme heat and fires. So it's just going to be ridiculous. More water. I don't know where, it's just above Brisbane that I feel that there could be some floods. US-wise, high winds again, really, really, really strong winds pushing into damaging winds in the Midwest. New York, it feels like there's something damaged, like a major structure damaged through weather. But we will talk about this on next week's episode when we see what is coming out on the 20th. If you are in the DC area, as I've said for the last couple of episodes, please stay away from that area this week. This is the week you need to be aware of. And Texas, for some reason, I feel like there's a bit of unrest down there. All right, that's it from me this week. I will be back next week with a lot more updates. I've always said that if Trump is inaugurated, because I wasn't being shown it, that is when I will take a look at the administration and what I see coming in. But I couldn't tap into that energy until things were worked out, because as far as I can see, it's not happening. But it appears that I have been wrong, or my guides have been wrong all along. But I will see you next week. Don't forget that I have my empowerment course on this week on the Sunday, $50 for an hour and a half on how to empower yourself, build resilience and confidence. That's on Sunday. You can book that on my website. If you are a Patreon, you will have a link for that. Don't forget, Laurie Rivers and I have What We See. Laurie Rivers and Matilda see things on the 8th of February. If you're a Patreon, there is some juicy discounts available to you in your Patreon membership. For that, that's when we sit and Laurie brings up the astrology, I bring up the mediumship, and we're usually very, very spot on with what we see coming out. All right. See you next week. Until then, bye-bye.